Hey, Math 3 Honors, it's Mr. Guzik. Hey, I miss you guys. I wanted to give you today's lesson, and I also wanted to just encourage you, if you haven't already, to turn in your assignments from last week. We've got an assignment this week, so let's check it out. First of all, I got all my friends here to help me. I got Albert, I got the Math Making Sense dinosaur, and I got El Luchador. All right, we're all gonna get working on this lesson. Okay, so here's our main idea that we want to talk about. We want to see how we can use inverse trig to help us find solutions, especially if it's not on a unit circle. So what we do is we realize that when we use a calculator, it only gives us one value. But most of the time, there's at least two solutions. Mainly what we have to do is either add or subtract 180 or 360. Kind of depends, you have to look at it on the graph. And we'll see how math makes sense. So let's take a look at this first problem right here. So we want to see, where does the sine of x equal 1/3 for all values from 0 to 360 degrees? So you should be on 360 degrees. We're going to make a graph. Well, it's pretty easy to solve. If I want to take the opposite of sine, I do inverse sine, put in 1/3, I get this value on my calculator. Now 1/3 is that's only one value, the 19.47 degrees. That's only one value. And if we take a look at the sine curve, where would 1/3 be? There's that first value. But there's another place where it crosses. There's another place where the graph is up at 1/3. Well, if we notice, this is symmetrical here, and this is before 180. Well, in math, before has to do with subtraction. So if I do 180 minus 19.47, I get 160.53, and I look right here, and that seems to make sense. Okay, now the Math Making Sense dinosaur says, well, I want to see if it makes sense. Okay, let's check it out. Well, we can check it on a calculator. If that is 160.53, when I put sine of that, not inverse, but sine of 160.53, check it on your calculator, I should get about 1/3. And I do, so you can check that on your calculator. Here's another way that math makes sense. Oh, remember we learned the saying, all students take calculus? And that tells us that in the first quadrant, everything's positive. In the second quadrant, sine's positive. Well, wait, this was a positive value of 1/3. So the sign is positive in quadrants 1 and 2. Oh, that makes sense. These values, 19.47 and 160.53, are in quadrant 1 and 2. What do you think? Is math making sense? Where's Albert? Let's look at a second example using tangent. Okay, where does tangent x equals -2? We want to find the x value or the angle where that's equal. No problem. We set it up with the inverse. We get this -63.43. Well, we remember from an inverse that tangent is either in quadrant 1 or 4. This must be quadrant 4 because it's negative. If I add 360 to that, I'll get this value, 296.57. Okay, let's look at it now on the graph of tangent. Okay, well here actually is the -63.43, but that's not between 0 and 360. When I take it from 180, it's before this amount. I get that value. That's actually take it from 360. And then this one is a little bit before 180, the same amount before 180. So I would add that to 180. A negative plus 180 is like taking it away from 180. You get 116.57. If we check it on our calculator, it makes sense. These two values. Oh, math making sense here. Because the tangent is negative in quadrants 2 and 4. And that's where these angles are. That's 2 and that's 4. Okay, everybody, so that's how you're going to do your assignment. you'll do it just like this, and you'll show how math makes sense. I'll post these notes. Talk to you soon.